gosh, that's so good. It is an absolute gorgeous morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the air is so perfect. It's just wonderful out here. And I have to go to work, unfortunately. But before I do so, I'm gonna sip on this beverage in my new mug. Squeeze the day. Get it? It's a lemon. Seize the day. I'm gonna share with you some of the flowers that I'm going to be growing for my very first ever cut flower garden. And I do intend to try to sell bouquets this year, and this will be my first time trying. And so it should be a learning experience. So I'm excited to share with you some of the varieties that I'll be choosing. I have started some of those, but I'll show you those as well. But before we dive into that, we're gonna sip on this latte real quick and do some morning chores, and then I will share with you my flower selections. What do you think, Kevin? What? What? Hi.
All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for. That's crazy, things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more.
Hey, Seepers! What's up, cuties? Just coming to check your water. And you have water. You're just lounging in the sunshine? Coming back for this. Hey, little raptors. What's up in here? How are you doing on food? Still got a little food. How's your water? I gotta bring you back some too. Okay, so morning chores are done, and it is finally time to share with you what flowers and varieties I am choosing for my first ever cut flower garden. So last year, so year of 2022, was my first time ever growing some flowers that actually were cut flower worthy, and that I actually did make some pretty bouquets. I did not sell them, but it really inspired me to want to sell them. And over the last like 6 months or so, I've been doing a lot of research on cut flower gardening, and I really think this is something that we can add to our homestead as far as being a significant source during the summer months, to just kind of add in a little bit of income for our homestead. So this is kind of an experimental year, and I'm not super familiar with all of these varieties, but I am familiar with some of them. So I'm just going to jump in and see what does well in my zone here in 4A in Minnesota, and we're just going to kind of experiment and see how it goes. So I will share with you varieties. So we're going to start off with snapdragon. So if you know anything about flower gardening, flower farming for cut flowers, snapdragons are often on the list. They provide a really great spike. So they're a taller flower and they have multiple blooms within the flower, and they can be a really great variety to grow. And so I'm going to be doing I'm going to try a few different kinds. The Tall Deluxe. I'm going to be trying the Black Prince. Now some of these might be a shorter variety, and again, we're just going to kind of experiment and see what does well here. The Oriental Lanterns and the Cherry Twist. So those are the 4 snapdragons that I will be growing this year. I did start these ones indoors. 3 of them are doing really well. I'll have to look at my little chart to see which one is not doing so great. I'm actually going to transplant them outside today. And so I'm going to do some succession sowing with a lot of these. So we will kind of experiment and see. I'm also going to be growing something called Job's Tears. Now I've heard this is a great filler. It's actually it can be used as a wheat or a grain. And I did try to start these indoors and neither of them germinated. So I'm going to direct sow them and see if they just do better direct sown in the ground. But these look really cool. Like this picture just shows just the little beads that kind of hang off of it. But if you just do a quick Google search, you can find Job's Tears, and they just look really neat, and they would be a nice, unique addition to any kind of floral arrangement. All right, next up is none other than zinnias. So zinnias are a very popular cut flower. They have a very long vase life, and they are really beautiful. They come in such a variety of colors and different shapes, I guess, as far as layers of petals, and some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller. And so I have a wide variety here. I'll show you all. I have, I think, 8 or 9 varieties here, and some of them are pretty basic. Some of them have already done really well. Last year this was a variety that I grew. It did great, and I just know that they can be fairly easy to grow. Sometimes I just need easy. I do work full-time outside of the home, and so easy is often really good for me. So I have just kind of the basic zinnia mixed colors here. That's the mixed giant colors. I have the Mazurkia. These ones look pretty. They have like, seems like they have a little bit of like a whitish on the tip, which I think will be really pretty. I have the Enchantress Rose. These are really pretty and pink, kind of just a really pastel pink, which might be really pretty addition to any kind of cut arrangement. Giant Violet Queen zinnias. Those are nice and vibrant pink. We have this is again another mixed colors. It does say, all these are labeled a little bit differently, even if they are the same variety. This one does say cut and come again, but zinnias are cut and come again, so that's just kind of probably a grab word, but I did germinate these separately just in case there is something special about them. Giant Cactus mixed colors. So these ones have a very different look to them as far as zinnias go. They look a little untraditional, look a little more ragged is the word I want to use. So these might be a nice fun addition as well. Candy cane mixed colors. So these will be really pretty. I don't know how well these will go in a mixed bouquet. I don't know if they will match really well or if they'll blend really well with other things. Again, experiment. But these will be kind of a unique color combination. And then we have the Envy zinnias, and these ones are just all green. I did grow these last year and they were really bright green. I actually didn't care for them by themselves just in the garden because everything else is already green. But in a cut flower bouquet, they do add a really nice pop of just something a little different. All right, since we are talking about zinnias, most people will associate those a little bit with dahlias because those are a very popular cut flower for a cut flower garden. So I did buy some dahlia tubers. These are Color Spectacle and Mystery Day. So this is kind of the general gist of what these will look like. There is so many dahlia varieties and colors and shapes and sizes, and these are tubers. And so I am not super familiar with growing tubers of any sort. So this will be kind of an experimental year in just that department alone, rather than just the cut flowers, but tubers themselves. So it looks like some of them are already started in here. I should have started these ahead of time. It is already June, but we're getting a little late start to this part and it'll be okay. Maybe we'll just have a late session of these. So there is, how many in here? There's 5 bulbs in here. And so I'm assuming I'll get a decent amount of cut flowers from here. I'm not looking to make like a full-time income this year in particular. Again, we're experimenting. So since we're talking about tubers, I'm also going to be growing gladiolas. So these are they're corms, so they're a different shaped tuber or bulb per se. And so they can look like this. I have started some of these already. Some of them are doing really great. Some of them not so much. They might have already kind of went a little dormant. There was a few days I was down at work and they got dry, so they kind of stunted a little bit. But I still have a decent amount in here, probably 10 or so that can still go directly in ground, and hopefully we get a late succession of gladiolas. Now I feel like everything I've researched is like you can't be a cut flower farmer unless you grow sunflowers. I'm pretty sure everybody I've looked up grows some form of sunflower. And so I have a few different varieties that I've chosen for that. So the first variety I've chosen for sunflowers is called a teddy bear sunflower. And I'll put a photo of it right here for you. And the description on the packet is really quite nice. It says, double flower heads of an intense golden color. These unique blooms have a soft, fuzzy look of a pom-pom. The stems are straight and sturdy, making an excellent cut flower. At an average height of only 3 feet, they're also great for low borders or even containers. So they're really multi-purpose, but a great cut flower, it says. So we're gonna do that. Lemon Queen sunflower. Now I have grown Lemon Queen just because we had the seeds. I had no idea it was going to be a great cut flower, and it really was. Last year when I put those cut flower arrangements together just for myself or for family or whatever, I used the Lemon Queen sunflowers, and they were perfect. They were just the right size, and they were just really beautiful. There's multiple blooms on one stem. Next up is the Evening Sun sunflower. I will also put a picture of that right here for you. And those, it says, this is a prolific bloomer, promises a steady supply of petals in shades ranging from rich orange to deep bronze. With 7-foot tall stalks and multiple heads, Evening Sun makes an ideal cut flower or border variety. So again, sounds like a beautiful variety, and I'm really excited to experiment with sunflowers. Now, a lot of sunflowers are like single stems. There's just one head on the top. And so a few of these are multi-head stems, which will be super beneficial in trying to get the best bang or the most bang for your buck when it comes to cut flowers. I'm not going to be growing in a huge space this year, which means that I need to get as much as possible in this small space, and having multi-head sunflowers will be a great way to do that. Okay, so there are a few perennials that I will be adding to the cut flower selections this year. Some of these I have grown and some of them I have not. Like one of those I have grown before is the Black-Eyed Susan, or better known as Rudbeckia. This is a very common cut flower. This is a traditional Rudbeckia. There are other varieties. I have this currently in just kind of our front entry garden, and it comes back beautiful every year. I have used this in last year's bouquets, and it was beautiful, and it had a really great vase life. And so I'm going to grow a separate area just for these, and knowing that they'll come back, I want to make sure I put them in a spot that I can need them. So along those as well, I will also be putting in Feverfew. Now Feverfew has very small little white flowers. I've never grown it, but it's a really great filler flower, and it's also a perennial in my zone, which is 4A. And so I will put this alongside probably the Rudbeckia. I'm not sure spacing between those yet. If they start to run together, I'll kind of do a little research before I put those in. But those are 2 of the perennials. I have a few more perennials that I'm going to be putting in, and hopefully those will be good varieties to pair well together. One of those is the English Daisy. Here's a little photo of those. If you can see that there. These to me do kind of look a little bit like zinnias and dahlias, but with a softer look. Like zinnias are a little more like paper-like, and dahlias have that really just elegant petally look, and this looks like a great combination of the two. I have already started this. I have I think I started 2 indoors, and I'll be transplanting them out today, and they germinated really fast and they look beautiful. So these seem to be a really low maintenance flower, which again is really good for me. Another perennial is the purple coneflower. Now, not only are these supposedly great for cut flowers, but the pollinators love these, which will be excellent for the garden in general. Another perennial that I will be growing this year is lupine. Now, lupine is another spike, which means that it's kind of tall and narrow as opposed to just one bloom. And it has kind of multiple blooms on the side, but they don't seem to necessarily open up very full, or if at all. I don't know if I've seen a lupine in full bloom. And so it looks really neat, but it seems to stay closed, which is a nice kind of interest for the eye when it comes to a floral arrangement. Okay, so the last perennial that I kind of have on hand here is one that I may or may not continue to pursue in the garden. I haven't quite decided. It is actually foxglove. Now, foxglove is absolutely gorgeous. If you've ever seen the blooms, I mean, they look so unique and so pretty with the little bells, and some of them have like little dots on the inside of the bells. But here's what I learned about foxglove is it's extremely toxic to humans. So if you can touch it, no problem. But every part of this plant is actually very toxic to consume. And so I'm hesitant to grow this, although a ton of cut flower farmers do grow foxglove. I'm a little hesitant to do it because if somebody gets, it on their hands and then they put their hands in their mouth, and like, I just don't want anyone getting sick or having issues from any kind of arrangement that I create. Is that rare? Yes, absolutely. But there's a chance. We also have, kids and animals, and if you consume any part of this plant, it is extremely toxic and can be deadly. And so I'm just not sure if I want to do this or not yet. It is actually used in like some heart treatments because what it does is affects the heart, I believe. If I remember correctly, it significantly slows down the heart rate. So if somebody has a heart condition where they have a racing heart, I believe foxglove is in the treatment that they would give that person. But for a normal heartbeat, this could actually kill you. So, and don't take my words for any of that. Do your own research on that. But that's just how I'm feeling about this right now. I'm not 100% sure if I'll actually be growing this, but it is beautiful. It would be a great addition. But I think I might have some other spike varieties that might do just fine. So we'll maybe wait on this one. Okay, so I feel like it wouldn't be a full cut flower garden without a few cosmos in there. Now, I actually have never grown cosmos, and if I have, it was many years ago, and I don't quite remember how it went. But I have the Bright Lights cosmos here and the Dazzler cosmos. So these are going to be kind of the, let's see, we have a bright gold centered magenta bloom, that's the Dazzler. And then we have kind of sizzling orange, deep gold, and shocking yellow are the Bright Lights ones. And so those would be really great additions. I know that cosmos are a little more of a wispy flower, and they can be nice filler flowers, not necessarily the focal point, but a really great filler in your bouquets. Next up is another spike, but it's going to be kind of a wispy spike filler. It could be a centerpiece depending on how large you let it get, but the red garnet amaranth. So amaranth is a wheat, and so it is multi-purpose, so you could grow it for consumption or you can grow it for your cut flowers. And you only need like one stem per cut flower arrangement, and it seems to just really add a really beautiful, striking, different aspect to the cut flower bouquet. The other one I'm going to be growing is the Bachelor Button. So this is the Bachelor Button Tall Mix. It's going to have a variety of colors. I did try to start this indoors and it did not germinate, so I'll just direct sow these outside and hope that they do well. But they're a very nice dainty flower, and they will be a great filler for any kind of cut flower arrangement. Okay, so another really great spike that has bell-like flowers on it is actually called the Bells of Ireland. Now this is actually going to be a little more like a lime green in color, and I've never grown it. I've actually never seen it in person, I don't think. But it was recommended by a few of the cut flower farmers that I've been watching on YouTube, and it looked really interesting and a really beautiful addition. I want to make flower arrangements that are a little more unique, not necessarily one that you would buy at, Costco or Walmart. I want it to be a little more of like a market bouquet, something special that people will be like, she sells really unique flowers. And Bells of Ireland, I think, would really be a great addition for that. So last summer, a really great friend of mine brought me a bouquet. And when she brought it in, I was like, this bouquet smells like pickles. And sure enough, it's because there was dill in this bouquet. Now, dill is actually a really great filler flower. If you've ever seen dill in full bloom, it does have some really beautiful yellow flowers on top. Depending on the variety, it can be white flowers too. I've seen both. And it just creates a really interesting aspect to a bouquet. And not only does it smell fun, but yeah, it adds just a little bit of daintiness. And when it comes to multi-purposing things in your garden, you can grow this for your own personal use or cut it down, use it as a cut flower. So along those lines of herbs, basil is also a great filler, I've read. So I am going to be growing just a regular like Genovese basil, as well as a dark opal basil. I actually bought some dark opal starts from a local woman that does some starts here in my area, and so that will be a really great addition as well. All around our yard, we have a ton of just random medicinal things that I could toss in here. Last year, I tossed in some of the wild yarrow that we have. We have the white variety growing on our property, and it's just everywhere. So last year, I just kind of walked around and clipped random yarrow and put those in the bouquets. I also have a little garden off to the side, and that has some anise hyssop in it. Now, anise hyssop, if I'm saying that correctly, everybody says it a little differently. It smells and tastes like black licorice, so it smells amazing. And you can use it before it blooms or in full bloom. In full bloom, it has these really pretty purple, like spike on top. It almost looks a little bit like lavender on the very top. And then the foliage itself is really quite beautiful. So you can use it really in any stage, and it's a great filler. You see this little bee behind me on my chives? Oh, he's so cute. I let my chives go to full bloom right now because I'm going to try to use these in a frittata. I heard that chive blooms in a frittata is a good idea. There's a little bee on it. He's so cute. So that basically wraps up what I'll be growing for my very first cut flower garden this year as an experimental garden. And I'll probably be adding things along the way, and if things don't work out, I might be replacing those with others. So it's an experimental year. If cut flower gardening and farming is something that you're interested in, I'll definitely be sharing my experience along the way. I'll share what worked, what didn't work, and maybe we can learn from each other. If there's anything that you would suggest, please put that in the comments down below. And if there's anything that you're excited to see that I've mentioned here, just let me know down below so I know to record something to show you what that looks like, and I'll make sure to let you know. Thank you so much for doing chores with me this morning, having some great coffee, and talking about flowers. Flowers are such a joy and such a beauty in creation. I am incredibly blessed to even be able to smell them, to see them, and now I'm going to grow them and hopefully share them with other people who love flowers as well. So if you're interested in more of this, please stick around, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, blessed day.